Our big thing that we really raise the boys on is just we want you to have as much perspective and experience as possible, and then let you choose, right? Like I feel like as parents, at least for us, it's how do we expose our kids to as much as possible that's obviously safe and morally and ethically right, like,
Right.
but that's not the traditional method that everybody else may teach you, right? Like I know entrepreneurship, granted it's more common now than it was, but I know entrepreneurship is not the, like main path. Like it's go to school, go to college, find a job, get a career, go up the corporate ladder, like type of thing, right? But if that's what he wants to do, like by all means, I will support him. I just want him to know that there are other options and what those options could be. And then when the time comes, like you choose what you feel is best for you. But I want you to know that there's other ideas and there's other options.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? And we are back with another episode of Legacy's Journey, where we talk about creating what outlives you. Of course, I'm your host, Cameron Williams, owner of Kinley Consulting, where we focus on strategic financial growth for marketing agencies. So, A, they can live that dream life that they're working so hard, but B, not be a slave to their business. And we just do that through CFO services. So, all right, y'all know we always looking for the best guests. So this guy right here, right? I ain't gonna say I know him. I've seen him in action though, and this is a guy that brings the family with him while he's growing, reinvesting back into himself and his business. So we got on here Big Guy Reno, owner of Works HQ. So I'm gonna, of course, let him explain who he is, what he does, how long he's been in business, and then we're gonna jump into some good stuff. You got the floor, man.
Oh, thank you very much. I like the big Reno. That's awesome. I may adopt that. All right. Well, my name's Reno Pace. I am currently living in Utah, and I got started in digital marketing back in 2013. My wife and I were in a network marketing company. We used social media marketing to really skyrocket ourselves. Became a top leader very quickly within a couple of months. We did that for a couple of years and realized that it wasn't the promise that was promised to us. And so we decided to leave that industry entirely and go create something for ourselves. So the next step for us was my wife was in the beauty industry prior to us doing network marketing, and she wanted to learn microblading. So for those of you who don't know, microblading is like eyebrow tattooing. And she started her own client-based business, and we took our social media marketing skills that we had applied in network marketing and just transitioned and started doing it for services in our local area. Within, I think it was 45 days, we had her fully booked out 3 months in advance, I believe. Again, jumped back up to 5 figures a month. And we quickly realized that what we were doing was not, and again, this was almost 8 years ago. So now I know social media has changed and things that worked then don't work now. And it's an ever evolving thing. I get it. But we realized that people in like brick and mortar, like service businesses weren't using digital marketing and social media marketing to the extent that they could. Right. So we grew that company, and we actually still own that company today, still run it profitably today. So here it is, 8 years running. And we branched off from doing services to education. And so then we started teaching microblading. And in 2018, my wife had our second son and didn't like the hustle and grind of our studio because we had 6 beds, we had employees, we had assistants, and she's just like, I don't want to be tied to this building and going up there 10 hours a day. And so she's like, we're going to close it down. And to my astonishment, I was like, well, what are we going to do? You're like the breadwinner, right? Like I'm the one in the background, like building the websites and like doing the marketing stuff, but like, this is what we do. And she was like, why don't you just do what you do for me, but like go do it for other people? I was like, that's actually not a bad idea. So that's where I transitioned in 2018 to doing the digital marketing services that I had been doing for her for years that worked, to now taking on clients. And in that time period, I kind of gritted my teeth and I guess, built my name on funnel design. I didn't work at ClickFunnels, but I was hired by Russell Brunson and ClickFunnels to design funnel templates. We worked on a couple of campaigns with them. And I believe 2 or 3 years ago, kind of transitioned from ClickFunnels to High Level. And now that's the platform we use. But currently, what we mostly focus on for small businesses is marketing campaigns through social media ads, follow-up campaigns through email, and really business consulting. And that's kind of where I've transitioned in this last couple of years.
So business consulting, social media ads, email marketing. He knows funnels. And did y'all see how he just casually threw out, Russell Brunson's name? Just, we just,
I got it slightly name drop, just a little bit, to a little credibility. That's all I'm trying to get, is just a little
Just
credibility.
let you know. See why I said big Reno.
Yeah.
Reno, big Reno.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So, so obviously you can say that your wife was really instrumental in, I don't know if you want to say pushing you or encouraging you to start this, but I think we both know, like, as business owners, of course, there's your ups and downs. So because this wasn't your idea per se, like when it got rough, like what were those conversations like? Because I know with me at least, there's some times where at the beginning, not too much now, but at the beginning, I was like, is this even worth it? Like, are you sure this is a smart idea? How did that work with you guys?
Well, she's always been one to encourage me. I've been a wannabe entrepreneur ever since I was 12. Like, I was slinging things on eBay. I was doing like the classified ads when I was like 9, trying to sell things through classified ads because that's what I saw on late night TV type of things. But it's interesting because when we started that network marketing company, 2 months in, we left our jobs. I mean, we were both working together at that time, full time. We both left our jobs. She left a month before me. I left right at the end of the year in 2012. And we have, ever since 2012, we've worked from home, we've worked from ourselves. So this was even pre our kids. And our kids have never known me not to be home. My kids have never known my wife not to be home, other than when she would run up and do clients. Like, okay, I get that. But we owned the business. We weren't working for somebody else. But when times have gotten tough, and there have been times in the first couple of years of not only starting a client business, but then starting this marketing business, there was times when we were pushing the limit of, are we going to make our bills this month? Are we going to make it? Is it going to work out? And we've both had each other's backs, and she's always been like, this is what I feel like we need to do. This is the direction we need to go. And no matter what happens, we will always figure it out. There's been times where it's like, okay, we're putting this bill on a credit card because we just can't make it. And then it's like next month, 2 big client projects come on. It's like, oh, okay, we made it, right? So yeah, she's like, oh, thank God, yes, like it came through, right?
Right.
But it, and as every entrepreneur, at least from my experience with people I've chatted with, like there's a time where it's like, do I go get a job, right? Like, is this the thing? Like, is this the point where I have to like realize and accept like this isn't going to work, and like I have to go get a job? And I've asked myself that a couple of times through my career, and every time I ask myself that question, it's always, is that going to put me in a situation that I want to be in? And yes, it may be tough now, but am I then going to be able to see my kids as much as I see them? Am I going to be able to do the things I want to do, with my kids, with my family, but also professionally?
Yeah.
And obviously I always answer no. And it's like, okay, we'll figure it out. Like, we'll not go out to eat for 2 months if we have to. Like, we'll do what we got to do. And she's always on board. She's always on board. She's like, okay, like put that bill on a credit card. We'll figure it out next month. Like, tomorrow's another day, or, we'll stop doing this and we'll make it work. So she's definitely been the supportive beam in those aspects.
So then how does she help now? Because I guess since you said it was flipped, so at first she was kind of running it and then you handled all the background versus now, like, it's your company, you're the one, everybody knows you. But I'm sure if she's anything like mine, which it sounds like they're super close, they may be twins, I don't know. But it sounds like, is it like, does she help with the client experience or market research maybe, or HR? Like, how does she help now?
So she helps on the branding side. So if any of my clients come on and they need help with branding, she's phenomenal at branding. It's what she loves to do. She has a real passion for it and a real eye for it. She'll jump on and she'll help really consult, technically kind of by my side or even in place of me, because honestly, she's way better at branding than I am.
Right.
She'll come on and really walk them through a branding process and, figuring out their messaging and their positioning and their colors and their logos and like all the stuff that branding is, right? Um, I will say that that's not consistent, like an everyday thing. But what she does now is she actually goes and looks for partnerships for us to partner with. And so
Cool.
she's looking for other, coaches or course creators or people in the business industry. She's really focused on like the course side because that's where we kind of cut our teeth with, building her microblading course. Like we really understand the course education side. And so she goes and looks for either close friends or contacts or just, connections that she either has or other friends have. And she's looking to build those partnerships. So not so much on people hiring us to do that, but us really coming in, taking a part ownership of the company, but then really being invested in helping whoever that person is really connect with their audience and their members and their students and growing it into something that we can then turn around and say, okay, we were a part of that. Like we had a hand in that. Right. That's where she's really focused now is helping some of those partnerships that we have.
So then that means y'all have two. So she has the course, which is one
Mm-hmm.
business, and then
Yep.
you have the agency, and then the branding is just under.
Yep.
See, look at that. So yeah, okay, that's awesome. So
Yep.
technically, y'all got two businesses now.
Yeah. Yep.
That's what's up. All right, cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So now, how about this one? So, okay, you mentioned earlier you got two kids. So let's talk about that. Like, what are some of the things that you guys do to connect? Because I know when we were in Costa Rica, which, by the way, shout out to TCS. If you're not going, go next year. Best
Go.
conference
Go.
ever. If nothing else, because the food is just,
I
I
mean,
don't
how do you
know.
beat Costa Rica? Like,
Oh my
like,
gosh, you can't beat it. But
yeah,
uh,
like go just for that, just the location and the food, not
the
only the people and the
location,
event, but
all you can eat food.
yeah.
Um, but okay, so I saw you with the boys, of course, because
Mm-hmm.
we did ATVs, right? And so,
Yep.
I mean, you could, I'm trying to paint the picture for y'all. So, literally, they have one kid apiece. And I mean, the boys are into it. They're yelling, they're running all on the beach and everything. And it was such a beautiful sight to see. So, like, what are some of the things, since we can't ATV on the beach here? What are some of those things that you guys try to do, like, consistently so that they know, like, all right, I'm gonna have this to look forward to with dad, or what are some of those things?
Um, so we do a couple of things. I think the first thing that really, and this is a learning process, by like no means have we figured it out.
I
This is
mean,
just what is currently working for us because I'll tell you kind of where we started and what we tried that didn't work for us. Again, not saying that it doesn't work for others because it clearly does. But in the beginning, we tried to keep our businesses and our life separate, meaning that, okay, we would set very strict hours on working, which I do think is very important. And we do that in a way still. But then it was, okay, now this is very strictly family time. And, this is what we go do with the kids. Right. And we always and maybe my wife and I are weird this way, but always at the end of like the day or during dinner, like business conversations would just like naturally come up and it's just like a never ending thing. And
never.
we took a lot of stress of like, why can't we just not talk about business? It's like, that's our life. Like, that's what we do, right? Like,
Yeah.
our business is our life. So we quit trying to separate them and we really combine them, right? And we take our kids on our business trips. We will go to meetings. We'll meet with clients in person if you're here locally. Half the time our kids are there and they're sitting at the table and it's like, this is what we do. This is how we are. And our kids are just a part of that, right? And we try to include them as much as possible to say, this is life. Like, this is how we operate as a family. again, I'm not saying this is going to work for everybody because I know it won't. Just as like trying to separate them didn't work for us, but I do know it works for others very well. And in doing that, we found that we're not as stressed. And my kids now know it's like, hey, I have to go do a Zoom call, right? Like right now, my kids have walked in a couple times and I just like point and they're like, got it, dad's on a call, right? But there's times they'll walk in and I'm still on a call, and like depending on what it is, it's like, okay, you can come walk around because it's okay. And it's like when we go to TCS, like of course we're gonna bring the boys, like Costa Rica, great food. It's an amazing environment for kids to be in. Like, why would I not bring them, right? And it's like, and even my son came and listened to two speakers because one was now I'm gonna forget his name, Peterson, the football player. It's like my kid is into football right now, so I'm like, gotta come listen to this NFL player speak. And he's like, I'm there, right? And so like we're trying to include it and make it be one and say this is our life, not trying to separate them. And that's just what's worked for us. Again, not saying it's going to work for everyone, but in trying to still move along of, hey, this is family time. I do have a pretty hard stop at the end of the day, around 6, again, give or take about a half hour. That at 6, it's like, okay, I disconnect. I walk out of the office and it's like, hey boys, what are you doing? Let's go play catch. Let's work on, baseball drills or football drills. Like we make time to do things with the boys.
Yeah.
Even, later on after they go to bed, I may come back and like answer some more emails or like, depending on the project, may have to finish some things up. Right.
Yeah.
But it's never a like try to keep them separate. And we always are pretty intentional in trying to do something with the boys at least once a week that's outside of the house, right? Like we're going to go to like the Nickelcade, right? And like just spend time. Or, last week, we went camping for a week and a half, and, we had mobile internet. So it's like I could get on for a couple hours every day and work. But then it was like after 12 or 1 o'clock in the afternoon, it's like, okay, work's done. Like we're going to go, we toured Yellowstone. We went up to Montana. We went to like a ghost city, like a haunted, city that was close to there, and like walked around the buildings. And it's like, yeah, the kids see me working and yeah, I can work mobilely, but we're still making it very intentional to like go do things that have nothing to do with work, that we can spend time as a family. And same with like us as a relationship as a husband and wife. We're not great at this. Yeah, it's like we're not great at this and we're still working on trying to do this. We promised ourselves we're going to do this once a week to like go on a date. We're like once every 3 weeks right now, so we're trying to like improve that. But again, like it's just a continual thing of like we're trying to just get better, right? And so we're trying to put the kids and their activities first, and my wife and I having our dates, again, trying to improve. We're not perfect, trying to get up to once a week, but we'll get there. So just being intentional, and I think trying not to exclude them and keep them separate, but just combine them has worked very, very well for us.
See, I never thought of that. I guess to your point, I always try to keep it separate. Like you said, once I go to the gym, I'm off, get home around 7-ish. All right, this is now family time. But so does this mean you homeschool?
We don't. Nope. Our kids go to, one goes to a charter school, and one goes to a public school. So right now they're on summer break. If you guys hear them in the background, it's them and the entire neighborhood that comes over and plays Xbox all day. So I apologize, but like that's just it is what it is at this point.
Yep. I like that though. I never thought of. I mean, I guess when I bring them on the trip, I try to merge, but I'm just thinking on a normal day-to-day basis. Like they'll come in here, but I don't think that's the same as what you're getting at.
Well, and it's interesting. Since we've kind of combined them, again, it's been about a year since we were like, we're not going to stress, or maybe a year and a half or so, of trying to keep them separate. And we're just going to let it be what it is and combine it. And my older son, who's 9, has now come in numerous times and he's like, Dad, can you teach me what you do? Can you like show me how to design websites? And so like now I'm like teaching him how to use High Level to like build websites, right? And when we were at 9, he wants to learn. He's like, what do you do? And this is what I do. And he's like, how much do you charge? Granted, the money that I charge was like very enticing to him. He's like, oh, I'm going to be the richest kid on the block. But but he's still wanting to learn, right?
Right.
And when we were in that ghost city in Montana, um, we stopped by a jeweler and they were mining jewels, so like emeralds and rubies and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
He was talking to the lady and like he brought it all up. He's like, "How much could I sell this for outside of here?" And she's like, "Oh, like about 3 times like what we sell it for." And he's like, "All right, I'll take two." And he's like bought 2 emeralds. And so now we're helping him like list it on eBay and Facebook Marketplace. And like he's starting to just get this like little like business entrepreneurial bug.
Which is
But like,
good.
yeah, which is like right up our alley because it's what we do. But it's interesting now that like we're starting to see those effects of him like attending our meetings and going to like the business conversations that we have with friends and family and other connections, and he's finding interest in it, and it's really interesting, and I just love it that it's kind of coming together that way.
So is that what you would hope, I guess? Is that what you would hope to leave for them? Just the ability to think that big, like, oh wow, I could make money doing this. I don't have to go this traditional route. Or is it just I just want to expose him to everything and hope that he picks the business? Like, how do you approach that?
um our big thing that we really raise the boys on is just we want you to have as much perspective and experience as possible, and
Mm-hmm.
then let you choose, right? Like I feel like as parents, at least for us, it's how do we expose our kids to as much as possible that's obviously safe and morally and ethically right, like you know
Right.
but that's not the traditional method that everybody else may teach you, right? Like I know entrepreneurship, granted it's more common now than it was, but I know entrepreneurship is not the like main path. Like it's go to school, go to college, find a job, get a career, go up the corporate ladder, like type of thing, right? But if that's what he wants to do, like by all means I will support him. I just want him to know that there are other options and what those options could be, and then when the time comes, like you choose what you feel is best for you. But I want you to know that there's other ideas and there's other options.
So then,
One is
okay.
not always better.
So if at 18 he says, "Dad, I'm ready to get into business because I know you're gonna give it to me one day and I want to take it over." At 18, just graduated high school, hasn't gone to college. You tell him what?
Let's go.
Without going to college.
Yeah. I mean, I have a master's degree in business development and marketing. I have yet to have one client ever ask what my education was, right?
I can.
And and this may be controversial, and I apologize. I'm not saying that schooling in college is right for everyone. I went and got a degree because it was a dream of mine, because I was, I believe, the first or one of the first within my entire family to get a master's. So not a
Right.
bachelor's, but a master's.
Right.
And I don't believe that college is right for everyone. My wife doesn't have a college degree. I know because I got a master's and I got a bachelor's that she could run a business better than 90% of the people coming out of a bachelor's degree, because she's done it. She's done it for years. She's created multiple 6 and a 7-figure business. She has the experience, right? And that's the beautiful thing with like what we do with digital marketing is, and it's kind of the catch 22. It's like kind of sad because anybody can do it, but it's also the great thing that anybody could do it, right?
Right.
Like there are plenty of people that try to take advantage and scam, and like I get it, and I'm not in support of that in any means or by any way. But if you have the experience, and the only way he's going to get experience is if he wants to try at 18. So I'm not going to obviously hand the business over to him, but it's like, great, you can start coming to more meetings. Like you can start walking through our entire process of like, how do we market ourselves internally? How do we onboard a client? How do we build a website? How do we build a marketing campaign? How do we do email campaigns? Like start teaching him all the stuff. And then how do we turn around and now apply that to get our clients results and start teaching him the business so at one day he can either take it over or he can run out and go start his own business, right? Like maybe he wants to, like he's a really big gamer, right? Like he loves games, like I'm assuming most kids right now. But it's like, okay, if that's what you want to do, how can you apply like these business concepts of like, how do you get in front of more people who are your target audience? How do you reach them with the right message at the right time? Like, how do you take the stuff that I'm doing, but now apply it to your interest? And like, that's what I hope he takes from it.
So good.
Yeah. But
See,
again, if he decides he wants to go to school, we have a college fund for him that he can use it for that. Like, and granted, there are certain degrees, like if you want to go into medicine or a lawyer or architecture, like you have to go to school, right? And like those are things you should absolutely 100% do, no questions asked. I get it. But depending what your interests are, schooling may not be the best option to get to where you want to go.
and I guess this is so interesting for me because being as how I got 3 kids with the oldest two being girls, I always think about that because I'm like, who can teach you better than me? Like, I know your teaching
Right.
style better than anybody. You know, I
Right.
know how to communicate with you. I'm the owner. I know how we do what we do. So I've always wondered, like, if they said they didn't want to go and they just want to come in, how would I handle that? Would I still make them go? Like, do I believe, to your point, is there some type of intrinsic value to going to college? Or could I legit just teach you everything and you'd be fine?
Right.
Because to your point, I don't think I've had a client. I'm really thinking hard. Like, hey, what degrees do you have? Like, they may say, who have you helped that's like me?
Exactly.
But it's
Exactly.
just
And
not
that's
the
the question. That it's not the same question.
same, right? So,
Yeah.
wow, that's good. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I would say that and I have chatted with a few friends who were considering going to college, and it's like, well, before you decide, again, I'm not against college. I'm against
Right.
college if like you're going to college just to say, hey, I have a degree. Like then I'm against it because I think you could have a better experience and gain more um, life lessons by maybe shadowing somebody, right? Like maybe you go be an apprentice with somebody and like learn the business, right? Or learn what it is they really do,
Yeah.
right? Like I was pre-med before I transitioned into, my bachelor's degree in science. I was pre-med. So I was going to go to medical school. I wanted to be an orthopedic surgeon. And like, that was my route. Right. And I went and shadowed a doctor and chatted with him. And he was like, just so you know, if you get into this field, you're going to deal with this, this, and this, which is a lot of legal issues. You're going to be sued numerous times. You have to handle all this. And it's like, I want to help people. And he's like, I get that, but just be aware of like what comes with that, right?
Yeah, you
Because
may
like,
get sued too while you help them.
yeah. And after listening to him and like going through that, it's like, yeah, I don't want to deal with that if like that's not going to let me do this, right? And so
Right.
like I transitioned and it's like I'm now didn't go to med school, right? I took all the classes, chem, biochem, physiology, like all the classes. I was one class away from like qualifying to take the MCAT, and I was like, nope, that's not going to be for me, right? And it's like, so I went a different direction,
How
and
did your parents deal with that? Like, yeah, I was one away and I talked to this guy and I don't think that's what I want to do anymore.
um, it was a little rough for my parents. They always knew that I had this like entrepreneurial, like, I want to make a lot of money, work for myself kind of thing. Ever since I was little, and they supported me, kind of, not like against it, but not like,
For it.
rah rah on the sideline cheerleader type.
Yeah.
Um, and they supported me because I was going to school and college, and I think in the back of their mind, they're always like, well, if that doesn't work out, like at least he's got his degree, he can go do something, right? Um, but even after I graduated and then we, started working for ourselves full time for the first couple of years, my mom was a little weary. But now she is in full support because she's like, you
You're
did
doing
what I
it,
didn't think.
baby. You're
Yeah,
doing
she's like, you're doing it. You did what I didn't think you could do. You're doing the thing that scares me the most, right? Like being an entrepreneur and working for herself, like she could never do it.
Oh, this is
It's
oh wait. Okay, yeah, let's go there. Okay. Because okay, now we're parents and we understand the weight of our words towards our kids. So to hear your mom say, you're doing something that I never thought you would do, what does that make you just off the rip? You're like, are you the type that's like, dang, mom, you ain't believe in me? Or like, I always knew I had it.
No, I don't feel like she didn't believe in me. I felt like it came from her her background and like the era that she grew up in, right? Like
Yeah.
baby boomer, like all of them are like, have a better life than your parents, go to school, go to the, get a corporate job. Like it's
Tradition.
not that she didn't believe in me, it's that she just didn't believe in like being a a business owner and entrepreneur yourself, like as a whole, is
Yeah.
is something that a lot of people could accomplish, right? So I never took it as like something against me personally. I took it as against the industry and like doing that as a whole. And that's how I've always interpreted it.
And I think that's crazy because to your point, like in your case, it went the healthy direction, right? It's like, I don't take it
Mhm.
personal. I'm gonna do what I do.
Yeah.
Versus, I think some of us could have taken that easily. Like, dang, my mom didn't believe me. Then let me try to work extra hard. Then we try to overcompensate in all these areas. But I think that's really good how you were able to separate. Like, hey, based on where she came from and her background, it wouldn't have been possible for her to conceive that we could live like this until now.
Right.
Like you said, this is what we do all the time. This is the norm.
Right. And I mean, you have to look at like all of her friends and all of her connections, of her era, like they all had very structured corporate jobs and,
Yeah,
all went that like work 40 hours a week, get a pension, work on your retirement. And granted, she's like, her and my stepfather like are very well. They're retired and like do all the things they want to do. So it's not like that doesn't work. It does work. It just everybody's slightly different, and it's like what works for you and like what you want to do, your personality. And it's like I just would feel suffocated having to clock in and clock out and
yeah,
do that thing where I probably work more hours now than my mom did. Like there's weeks I've 60, 70 hours a week because it's like it is what it is, and projects come up and like you have to do it.
right.
But I get to choose when and where, right? Like I can choose that I can work until midnight, but I'm taking a 6 hour break to like go do stuff with my family and like do it, right? So like
Yeah,
there's trade-offs. And I don't believe that she knew anybody that had done what we're currently doing until like my
you,
generation, like her kids started getting older. Now I
yeah,
know she knows numerous people that are around my age, like who run our own businesses and do our own thing. And like now it's like a more common thing. And she's like, you're doing awesome. Like, keep doing what you're doing. And there's times I'm like, Mom, my biggest client just left. And she's like, you got it. You can do it. Just do what you do.
yeah.
Go do, like, deliver what you say you're going to do, and somebody will come. And like now she's all for it and encouraging. So,
How does
yeah.
that feel like you're doing what you know that keeps you true within yourself and to have that support of now, in this case, an older parent, like you're adult, it's not like you're like your kid where you're 9 and it could just tear your heart up if she did or did. But
Right.
how do you said you go to her for advice or just to talk or keep her in the loop. Like, how does that empower you or make you feel just on a normal basis? Because I know at least with me, like I do the same thing sometimes, like with my mom, and I'm like, Mom, I feel like I did everything right, and she's just like, well, it's all right. You ain't seasons. You're gonna be with some people for a season. Have your moment. And I'm just like, you know what, Mom, I don't know why I didn't come to that conclusion before you said that. But
Right.
yeah,
Yeah. It's helpful, and I mean, the more times you can always have people encouraging you, whether it be friends, family, parents, grandparents, whatever.
yeah,
Um, it always helps. Um, but yeah, it is beneficial, but I don't want to say like if you don't have parents that are like encouraging you and supporting you, that it's like the end all be all. I
yeah,
understand it's going to be more challenging. I get it. Like again, my parents didn't support me for a while, and again, they weren't anti. They just weren't
no,
all in on it, right? So
yeah, yeah,
I get it, but it is definitely helpful to have somebody helping you and encouraging you. And if you don't have that, finding an entrepreneurial group, like a local meetup where people
hmm,
who are running their own businesses that you can like lean on and support. Like we have numerous friends that are entrepreneurs and run their own business, and you know, they go through tough times, they lean on us. We go through tough times, we lean on them. And it's not family, but it's friends and connections that are doing that too. So I think you can find it anywhere. You just, got to look and
okay,
be open
so
to it.
that's a perfect segue into the next question. So now that you've been doing this since essentially 2012, 2013, like what would you say are maybe two or three practices or things that you do that contribute to your success in the business? Like some people, like for me, I got to go to the gym, right? Like I need that time to just get all that negativity or whatever out my body, and it just helps me to get refocused, build that mental toughness. What would you say would be like maybe just 2 or 3 things that you feel like if I don't do this, I would not be where I
I would say, let's see, probably three things. One is physical, like fitness, like take care of yourself.
am? Yeah.
My bachelor's degree is exercise science, so bachelor's of science in exercise science. Um, I work out every morning, like that. For some of you, like that's my stress relief, right? Like that's how I go and I clear my head, and like if I'm pissed off, it's like go throw some weights around and like let that stress out, right? Like
Yeah.
maybe yours is hiking or like you know I don't know, something physical, just to not only take care of your body but take care of your mind and just some kind of release. And I say that in a way of do something for yourself too, right? Like don't always think like you have to do something with your wife or your spouse, husband or kids. Like I go to the gym by myself because I need that. I'm a huge introvert. May not come across that way, but I'm a huge introvert. I'm very shy. So like being alone is how I recharge my batteries, and exercise is how I recharge my batteries. So whatever that is for you, like figure out something that recharges your batteries. Um, Second is, and again, this is very opposite of an introvert, and I've only realized this since actually joining, the committed mastermind group and TCS, is your network and connecting and connections. Prior to that, I was very like, I'm not going to those groups. I have nothing to share. Like nobody wants to hear my story. I don't want to hear what like other people are doing. They can't help me because this is my thing, and like nobody is going through the same thing I'm going through, kind of
Yeah.
thing. But ever since joining that group, I don't know, 2 years ago or a year and however long it's been now, it's been quite a while. Those connections and those referrals and those relationships I've built have at times either brought me really great business in financial gains or just in business advice as like, hey, this is what's working for us. And then I'm thinking like, okay, how can I take that and apply it to what I'm doing? Right. Like Karen and JC have helped me tremendously in so many ways. And, I'm super appreciative of everything that they have done to help me and our family. Putting on the TCS event, building just a friendship between us and them and their family. And then third, I would say just following through and delivering with whatever service or product or whatever it is you do, right? Like setting those expectations with your clients and then delivering on what you're going to say or like what you said you were going to do. So many times I've had, demo calls where clients are considering hiring us, and, they've hired 15 other agencies before us. And it's like, well, you're telling me the same thing that they told me. It's like, I understand. I get it. But here, let me send you, like, let me connect you with 2 or 3 of my past clients, and like they can, explain to you without me being on the phone or on the email, like what it is or what it's like to like work with us. Like we will deliver on what we say we're going to do, and we will make it right if we do screw up. Because by all means, I've made mistakes before, but like let me make it right. Yeah, like it's gonna happen. But like just delivering on what you say you're gonna do, and I think those three things have really, and they still to this day continue. Like I still go to the gym every day. I try to go to as many now conferences and networking and masterminds as I possibly can, and every day we're trying to deliver on our service and just make it better and more convenient and better for like our clients as well.
That's what's up. Okay. So now that's the practices you pick. But now, what has all this time? I mean, you've literally ran or helped run multiple 6-figure and 7-figure businesses. What do you think being a business owner has taught you about yourself? Because I know at least for me, like I'm like, man, I didn't know I could do fill in the blank, or I didn't know that I had the ability to break it down to that manner. I thought that's what everybody did. So, like, what have you learned about yourself in regards to being a business owner that you think could be a beneficial lesson for somebody else that's listening?
Um, that there are so so many ways to make money and to do things. I've and I've chatted with so many people and I've seen so many things on, and again, I'm going to reference like social media, like so many companies, random business ideas that I'm like, how did they ever think to like do that? Like on TikTok and Instagram, and like you're seeing them sell products and services. There are so many opportunities out there that you just have to be open to it. And if you're looking for it, it'll show up. Um, Back in the day, I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do, is to do social media marketing. Like that was my quick transition from like doing what I was doing for our brick and mortars with
Mm-hmm.
social media. And so it's like, okay, well, I'm going to quickly transition and I'll just do social media marketing for other local businesses, right? It lasted a month and I was like, I don't like doing this for other people. I don't mind doing it for ourselves, but I don't like doing this for other people. And
Right.
that's where it's like, I went into like, well, I loved building funnels, right? Like when I was building like our offers and our websites and our funnels for us internally, I was like, I really liked that. And so I quickly transitioned to like funnel and website design. And then I continue to do that to this day because I just enjoyed it so much. But then it moved into, well, now I can do like marketing strategy, which is probably like my second favorite thing to do, is marketing strategy and, funnel design. And then it was into like automations. And like now a lot of our clients have their white labeled versions of High Level, and we're their support for them as an agency, not for their clients or like their customers or users, but for like them internally. Right.
Right.
And so we're helping them set up, their white labels and doing their internal like funnel automations and email automations and business automations. And it's like every couple of, 6 months or a year or whatever it is, it's like you transition and it's like, oh, I didn't even think this was a possibility. And it's like, now this is a new service. And now these new clients coming on wanting that service. And it's just being open to ideas and opportunities and looking for those opportunities, and something will, come to light. And it's like, okay, that's what I want to do. Or like, that's what I want to do right now. Right. You may not do it forever, but like you want to do that right now.
Yeah, and it sounds like, even to take that one step further, like you're not scared to switch either. Like
Oh
I
no.
know, see, and I'm kind of the opposite. Like if I'm a commit, we commit. That's it. We ride or die. Versus, I think as a business owner, that is so key to your continued growth and your continued evolution as a person and owner. That like, hey, it's okay if I was doing this for 2 years and I no longer want to offer this service, or I no longer want to do this one thing just because either it doesn't fit with who I am right now, or I think I could do it better than I was doing it, so I need to modify. So I think that's great
Yeah.
self awareness to be willing to even try to do that.
Yeah. And I think one of the things, now that you mentioned that comes to light of like what I've learned about myself, is that I didn't realize how, I guess, blind to like risk and change that I am. Right. Like growing up, it's like you hear so many people of like, they stay in the one job or one career for so many years because they don't want to change because they're going to lose their pension or retirement, or like whatever it is. Right.
Right.
And in the beginning, it's like, oh, I don't want to do that because like what happens if it doesn't work? Right. And over
Yeah.
the course of the years,
Yeah.
like I've had plenty of failures. I've tried a few things, even during like while I'm still running my agency. Like we've tried adding other services, right? And you have a client here to do it, and it's like, okay, that's not working. We're not going to continue doing that because that was a total failure.
Right.
But I'm obviously, as like a business owner, you don't jump on everything, right? Like that's
Yeah.
kind of going without saying. But when things come up, it's like, how can we implement that? And if we can implement that, does that move us in the direction as a company, as a team, and as a family, like us personally? Because again, we're combining kind of all that. Does that move us in the direction we want to go? Right. And like, that's kind of my filter question is, does doing this move us in the direction we want to go, either faster or more efficiently? Right. And sometimes more efficiently, it takes longer, but
Yes.
towards the end, it's like, you've either reduced the amount of hours you're working, or you've, taken on less clients, but now you can charge more. Like there's a lot of things that kind of go into that. But
Yeah.
really it's like, does this move us in the direction we want to go? And, what's that investment, either financially or time wise? And if I can answer those questions, okay, let's give it a shot. We got 3 months. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, scratch it. Right. So
Yeah, and I think that's a great question to add too. I hope y'all catching all this stuff he's saying. Like he's saying this so smooth, you know what I'm saying? But like I guess I think I do it that way, but like you said, like how does this serve the family personally, right? And this is a big conversation we have. I literally just had it with all of our clients last week about, okay, how does this serve you or help you get to your goal? Because if it doesn't do that, then we're just doing something just for the namesake of doing it, right? Versus, hey, if your long term goal is to cut off work at 6 so you can spend more family time, well, you could offer this service, but unless it's either super profitable or you're about to bring on somebody else to go with it, is that going to really get you there? And you'll be amazed at least for our clients, they're like, man, I never thought about it like that. I just thought I just had to, or
right.
I committed to it, therefore, and I'm just like, no, not when you the owner. So I think that's super important that you're able to realize that and continuously keep that at the forefront too.
Yep. Yeah.
I got a good question for you, and we'll wrap up with this one. This is a popular question that everybody loves for whatever reason. So, all right, you big Reno now. If you could go back to high school or college Reno, what do you tell them? Like you go back 18 or 22, 23-year-old, and you would say, hey, young Reno.
Just get started in whatever that is. If it's in starting your own business in whatever industry, like if you're going to do a brick and mortar, like figure out a way to get started. A lot of times that's, you want to be a plumber, like go apprentice a plumber, like start learning what that is. If you want to be, in the beauty industry, like my wife, like go take education courses on like whatever that technique, right? Like if you want to learn microblading or hair extensions or whatever that is, lash extensions, like go learn, like get started. And don't be afraid, especially when you're in high school and college, like you're gonna fail. You have so many years to recover. Like,
Yeah.
Depending on, in Utah, a lot of college kids are already married and working on a family. Like that's just the culture around here. I know other areas are different. So, but typically in college, like you don't have a wife or a husband, you don't have kids yet, you don't have the mortgage payment, you don't have the multiple car payments or even the single car payment, right? Like if you fail, which you will, like you can recover because you have plenty of time to recover. So take that risk, like do it, just get started, and whatever happens, happens, and you'll make it and you'll work through it.
Well, I feel like that's a great closing statement. All right, so we have come to the end. So now this is your time. So if people want to work with you, they're like, man, this dude's cool. I like his values, what he stands for. How can they get in touch with you? Whether that's email or whatever you want to say, and give us something so that they can get in touch with you.
Yeah. Two ways you can reach out. Email, so reno@workshq.co, and it's works with an X, so worxhq.co.
Okay.
More on Facebook, Facebook Messenger, Facebook, either way. Just, look me up on Facebook. I'm pretty sure I'm the only Reno Pace. It's a pretty unique name that stands out, and just reach out, message me there.
If they are what kind of client though, like what specific industry or?
So really two kind of clients that we focus on. One are course creators, online course creators, educators. Doesn't matter your industry, but you're just wanting to create courses online and sell them. That's kind of one of our client bases. And then second is like local small business, like brick and mortar. I'm not niche specific in the clients and brick and mortars that we serve. We have a very kind of extensive process on what we do with our clients that works whether you're a hairstylist or a plumber or a roofer. We can adjust and adapt to all those. So Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, y'all heard it here. That's how you get in touch with them. So basically, if you need a course and you need some guidance, you already know who to go to. If you got a brick and mortar, you need help getting people in your store. You already heard. He told you his wife did it. And
Yep.
then she made him redo the company, and then he did it. So they know what they're doing. They've been doing it for years, and they're doing it with a spirit of excellence. So, guys, Reno, first off, thank you for coming, man. Thank you for taking
Thank
this hour
you.
of your day to come. Just drop us with just family business, how you're balancing it, how you're incorporating them. And I appreciate you for coming.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much. This was awesome, and I enjoyed sharing and getting to know you and chat with you as well.
All right. Well, y'all, this is another episode of Legacy's Journey. So, as always, we're trying to bring y'all some of the best people. We don't want the people that made $1 billion. We want the people that do right, not only by their clients, but by their family. So, it's our goal to just continue to bring you guys good people that you can relate to, understand, and maybe even take some of those things that they're doing with their family or with their spouses and incorporate that into what you do so that you can continue to evolve, adapt, and be a better business owner and just person in general. So until the next time, everybody stay safe. We appreciate y'all. Make sure you share this episode with somebody who you think needs to hear it. We'll check y'all out later. Peace.